Well, we don't have an intro, so I gotta like improvise.
We don't have an intro,
here.
so you gotta improvise one real quick.
Yeah. Because hey everyone, this is the first time we're coming back with Mitch's Minute in a little bit. Ironically, the last episode was called "We're Back," and then we didn't do anything after that.
See, there's also the factor that it's on the main channel this time.
Exactly, we aren't doing the other channel anymore, just because it felt silly. And so hi everyone, welcome back to this. Obviously, real quick, spoiler alert for Into the Spider-Verse, because I'm sure we're gonna get into it. Both Nate and I saw this movie within the last couple days, and we wanted to talk about it real quick, and hopefully we will be getting back into Mitch's Minutes on Sundays. As far as the Steven Universe stream goes, I will probably find a different day for it, so don't worry about that. We'll just find a different day for it. But I would like to kind of get back into these. Before we get started, I wanted to say something real quick before we get into the movie review. I just want to talk real quick about something that was near and dear to my heart. If you guys haven't heard today, one of my favorite YouTube channels, Two Best Friends Play, has broken up. And it was super sad to kind of go through it this morning with Nate and Amanda. The reason I even bring it up is they were a huge inspiration to the channel, and we wish them all the best of luck on whatever next endeavor they choose to go on. That being said, let's get into Spider-Verse, motherfucker. So when I went to the movie theater before we get started on the fucking movie,
First and foremost,
I received these cool Spider-Man headphones.
oh, okay.
They're like these
What?
little wireless little earbuds. Let me open them up real quick, because yeah. So we were at
What?
the.
I didn't know this stream was gonna be an unboxing that you can't see as well.
Oh, look at the quality of these. They're really cute. Like, they're just really cute small headphones. They came in this little bag, and it's something that I'm probably gonna use for like walks and stuff. I thought it was funny. Because I don't. Did you get a pair of headphones when you
No,
watched
I
this movie?
didn't. I'm not special enough for that.
That's right, VIP. That's very important person. Very, very important penguin. All of this. All of
that.
this. Yeah. So anyway.
Very important Parker.
Very important Porker. Okay, so Into the Spider-Verse. So Nate, why don't you give us a quick rundown on what happened in the movie?
They literally like explain it pretty well in the trailers. It's just like, yeah, shit happens and all this freaking universes collide, and then it's just trying to fix shit because they can't stay, not in the same dimension. How fucked up would that be to see like a parallel universe of yourself, though?
Oh yeah,
It's
well,
like,
I'm assuming alternate universe me is like handsome and a successful YouTuber, and
oh, so you're like, so in the sense of Spider-Verse, you're like Benjamin B. Parker.
Yes, I'm Peter B. Parker, because that's so. When I saw the movie, that was the thing. I watched it and I'm like, you know what? Nate's gonna really get attached to Miles, and I'm gonna get really attached to Peter B. Parker, because I know.
I was saying that in the car on the way back. I'm just like, I'm gonna talk to Mitch about this like tomorrow, and the first thing is like, I'm basically Miles, and he's basically like Peter B. Parker.
Well,
it's like it was such a similar dynamic, and I'm like, fuck, man.
Well, so the thing that kind of like, I guess a good way of putting it is this. So like, this was the most unique Spider-Man movie that I had seen. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to say that because one, it was animated. Two, it was, it didn't have Peter as kind of like the main focal point. It was the first time you see Miles Morales kind of go on a solo outing in the big screen. And it was really cool. Don't get me wrong. I just think that
I was surprised of the amount of references to like the other like kind of Spider-Man concepts that they thrown in it as well.
Oh, like Sam Raimi.
It was funny. It's like also the original opening to Spider-Man. It's like, yeah, I got a sick theme song, and it's like, ugh. Because I seen that, and I'm just like immediately like remembered when we watched like a few episodes, and I just remember the heart curdling scream.
Oh my god, the real scream.
The real scream.
Oh my god.
Uh,
But anyways, with that being said, I just think this movie was really, really solid. The reason we kind of wanted to talk about it, though, or I want to talk about it at least, is there was one small problem I had with it. Because I'm sure, Nate, you love Spider-Man. You think he's, like, the coolest shit ever.
yeah.
Like, and, like, I'm sure that you got the biggest kick out of it. And don't get me wrong, this movie is like a solid 9 out of 10 in my head. Like, this is like not to do rating systems or anything like that, but like it is close to being one of the best Spider-Man movies that I've seen. I will say pacing's a little weird, but pacing's a little weird in a lot of these 2-hour movies.
Yeah, like I did mention that as well. It was like because you had like the main three, which was Miles, Gwen, and like Peter B. Parker, and then like they just thrown in Spider-Man Noir. It's like Penny Parker and Peter Parker. They just literally slapped them all in at once.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, when you get like Nicolas Cage to like and John Mulaney to come in and
yeah, and you just slapping them in as characters, it's like
cool. Do not get me wrong, super fucking cool. I just okay. I'm gonna explain my issue with the movie real quick, and
yeah, do that real quick.
Okay. So you heard me kind of vaguely talk about it before, but one of my biggest issues with the movie, I feel, was that exact thing. Was the fact that you had Spider-Man Noir, you had Peter Porker, and you had Penny. Like, they're all pretty talented fucking Spider people. Like, you know, in the context of the film, you know, they.
Like, sorry to interrupt again, but it's like I feel like they did that a little bit just because it's like they're not as well known Spider like people kind of thing. It's like I feel like the generic Spider-Man, like Miles Morales, a little bit more well known, and Spider-Gwen, like probably out of most of like probably the female Spider people, probably the best known.
Yeah,
so I feel like they did that.
Everyone knows Spider-Gwen. Like it's because her design is everywhere. You don't see Silk's design everywhere. I'm not saying that Silk's bad. I'm just putting it out there. She's cool. She's cool. Don't get me wrong.
She cool. Just not as marketable is the issue, I guess.
Yeah, you're right, and that's the thing. So like that original design for Spider-Gwen is like fuck it, like it's memorable the way it looks. It was so different and unique. I remember like what was it, 2015, 2014, something like that. Like that thing came onto the scene and like you had everyone fucking freaking out about it. And if you ever get a chance to read Spider-Gwen, it is awesome. It is such a good run of the comic. It is, you know. I love that storyline, but that being said, you know, I think the thing that so my issue with the movie is that it's kind of a weird problem to have, but it's something that I kind of thought might help with the film in terms of like introducing these characters, right? So we had seen the story play out before, right? There's a spider person, has their uncle die, and you know becomes Spider-Man, learns the whole responsibility thing. In this case, this was about Miles overcoming the expectations of not just his father with the school, but also, you know, the stuff that comes with being a Spider-Man, which is a great lesson. I think that was a really solid way to do it.
Yeah, and not to, like, and the comparison that he kept putting to himself, because it's like, well, there are other Spider people like me, but they're so much better at it, and it's like, yeah, because they've had a lot more experience.
Yeah,
is the thing.
And maybe this is like a weird way to kind of to view the film a little bit, but one of the things that I kind of wanted to, you know, I kind of wanted to express was, okay, so there's this scene in the movie where all the Spider people are together. You have Noir, Penny, Porker, and you have you know, you have Peter and Gwen, and they're all kind of like Noir kind of like starts jabbing at Miles and is like, well, hey, can you fight and stuff? Can you punch a Nazi in the face? You know, and like, you know, and then Penny starts throwing stuff at him, and then Porker starts throwing stuff at him, and Gwen kind of out of nowhere, like weirdly, it all feels kind of out of nowhere, because I understand that it's a scene trying to show that they're putting him under pressure, but like they should.
Yeah, like it doesn't. Yeah. I was very confused by that scene as well. It's like I understand like maybe a little bit of like Spider-Man noir with like he would be a bit more of like a tougher guy for like the universe that he's in, but it's kind of just like it felt strange because they've been in that position before, like first starting out when you're learning your powers, and especially because Miles has different powers and as do all of them besides just being spider people. So it's like, why are you forcing it kind of thing? Like, yeah, it was especially like Gwen to do it. I feel like out of all of them, like Peter and Gwen would have been like, yo, back the fuck up, please. Which eventually like Peter does. Well, but I understand like the pressure that was happening because it's like, hey, we only have like a limited time before we die here.
So there, in my mind, there's a real easy fix for this, right? So like in a writer's room, you would do this scene. And granted, this is my hypothetical writer's room. In the writer's room, I would assume you'd write the scene out, and then on paper it would make sense. You know, you're applying all this pressure, da 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 da. But when you're viewing it, it's a very different experience. Like you see it and you're like, well, this doesn't necessarily translate well. In my mind, how I thought this was going to play out was they were going to apply that pressure to Miles, see him kind of run away, and go to him and be like, all right, you know what, Miles, here's the difference between us and you. In our universes, and it's something they kept emphasizing, we thought we were the only ones. So we had to learn all this shit on our own. And I thought what was going to happen was going to be like, all right, but we're going to make you into a great Spider-Man. You're going to train with Noir in combat. You're going to train with Penny, you know, to kind of, you know, to think fast. And then fucking I was gonna say John Mulaney. And Mulaney's gonna teach you how to, you know, think outside the box, you know, be a bit silly, be a bit creative, you know. And each one was gonna be an aspect to make this this Spider-Man, you know, unique. And the idea was that it was gonna speed up the process so that he wouldn't have to go through the training, he wouldn't have to go through all of it. He would, you know, be there and then, you know, be set and squared away, and then the idea would be you apply that pressure, or maybe even after all the training, he still can't do it, and then that's when you do the scene in the bedroom where they decide to do it without
that
him.
would have made more sense, is the thing. It's just like, fucking, I got so sad, like, in some of the parts. I'm just like, don't cry, you fucking little bitch. Because it's like, I've been in that situation before, and that's, like, because, yeah, I am younger. Not as young as Miles, but, like, I'm always surrounded by people older than me, so it's like, it hit very close to home for me, a little bit.
It was Spider-Man Homecoming.
It's like, not gonna lie, this movie hit like pretty close to home for me. But there was like, Peter was like in the beginning a douchebag, but like later he became a lot more understanding because like he's like, hey, this is like a good thing. This is gonna be a hopeful situation. He has the potential to do well. It's just that this is very new and fucking terrifying.
Okay, but I wanted to read a comment real quick. That's the beautiful thing about doing this live, is that we can actually read a comment. And I wanted to read from Nebraska. I think that was probably my favorite part. Most movies kind of gloss over the people getting experience in their powers. This movie is like 70% of Miles getting into that. Okay, to which my argument, I hate to counter this, but one of the things that I actually found really irritating was Miles develops invisibility and the ability to shock people not off screen, but it feels pretty quick. And yes, it is good to show him have these different abilities and have it kind of be experimental and stuff. But I almost forgot about the shock thing, and I had to explain that to someone I watched the movie with. Is like, how come Miles was just able to shock Kingpin at the end? And I'm like, well, in a scene earlier in the movie, they had him shock the webs off. Was there ever an indication that the spider could do that? No. But, I mean, obviously the spider... do whatever a spider can, turn invisible and shock people. So
yes, spiders do that.
they're terrifying.
Clearly, terrifying.
They turn invisible.
It's clearly an Australian spider.
Yeah, yeah. Nate, you go to bed tonight, and there's like you're getting shocked by an invisible force that you can't see.
It's like, the fuck?
Damn you, Australian spiders!
Fucking, so annoying.
80 people every year die from Australian invisible shocking spiders. And that's the thing, it's still cool.
It sounds so absurd.
It's just... before we kind of fucking derail a little bit, I did want to say I really loved... I mean, obviously, that's something that's universally praised about this movie is the art style. Everything fucking pops and shit.
Oh, okay. Like, in some bits, like, I was like, this is going to affect people's, like... like, this is going to hurt people's eyes. Like, a little bit. And it's going to get a little bit, like, cluttered. But it looked stunning, like, the entire time. That's why I'm like, even if you don't like Spider-Man, or even if you're not liking the movie, it looks super good. Because I'm like a sucker for I'm like a sucker for that kind of style, especially like when they interpret like when Miles starts to like develop his powers and like they go into the more comic book like escalate the popping up of like the speech bubbles and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, why are my thoughts so loud today? It's like, and I don't know. It was just
that was a really good way to show it. You know, that was a really good way to show like his transition.
It's a puberty thing.
He's going through. Okay, before we go any further, I kind of wanted to address. You said that it was gonna hurt someone's eyes, right?
It's a lot. It's a lot of.
I experienced for the first time in a movie theater my old man eyes like starting to fucking like it. There was this one scene in particular, the way that the colors contrasted, that I was like, oh.
I feel like they deliberately like did that with the intro as well, like made it so because they made it very busy, like just like the opening title and like showing all the credits to like all the different companies and all that. I feel like they made it deliberately like that. So if it's just like, hey, this is going to be basically the entire movie. If you can't handle this, kind of leave now and get your refund now.
Yeah, but like, let's say I had a kid and I had to sit there because
that's when you nap.
Yeah, that's
when you take an old man nap in a theater.
Yeah, little Ellie wants to watch her fucking Spider-Man movie and I'm like, fucking okay, sure. It's gonna get worse. It's gonna get worse as I get older. I'm gonna be 30 years old and be like, oh fucking, oh.
No, and then you're just gonna be like, go with Uncle Nate. Fucking
Uncle Nate will deal with this shit.
He's young.
I'm gonna go watch a Transformers movie. It's easier on my eyes.
I'm gonna watch Gundam.
I'm gonna go.
You're not old enough for this yet.
Yeah. I'm gonna go watch the live action Gundam. God damn. No, but anyways, Into the Spider-Verse is a total recommendation. I have my fiance absolutely loved this movie, and she doesn't even like superhero movies. She just thought it looked like really, really cool. And she's like an animation major, and she could tell me more shit about this than maybe she should have been on the show, but she's sick right now. So another time. But like, it's a high recommendation. I really think that anyone who goes and checks out this movie will really enjoy it. I think that it is a nice little, well, while staying to the formula, it's a nice deviation from the formula. It addresses that, yes, there is a formula to how these things go. And while I'm not too keen on origin movies, I did think that Into the Spider-Verse was unique and funny enough and entertaining enough that it became something really interesting. Now, I will say that I'm more interested in the sequel. Just like Venom, I'm more interested in the sequel than the original movie itself. because in introducing Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099, that'll be fun. I want to see them kind of go about and do a little bit something more close to the comic story of Into the Spider-Verse. Because if you do a sequel to this movie, there's only one way to do it, and that's to do the multiverse thing again. And I really hope that they do more multiverse stuff in general with comics, because, well, not with comics, with comic book movies. Because there's something that, it's the one thing that's been missing in all of these movies, is to have the multiverse address the fact that there's 1,000 Batmans and 1,000 Iron Men, and, you know, like, there's throughout the course of, like, you know, multiple universes and stuff like that. Have fun with it, because this movie clearly did it.
Yeah, and also with, like, doing that, it's like there's more of a basis, and it's just kind of like there's bound to be an Iron Man, or like kind of like a version of them that they'll like if they don't like the like one that's been like the main focal point kind of thing.
Yeah,
because it's like there are a lot of different iterations of every superhero. There's been rewrites upon rewrites of different canons, different AUs. It's ridiculous, to say the least, and I feel like that's why they went pretty like out there with the visual standpoint, because this is a crazy concept, and trying to visualize it. I will mention a offhand comment that made me laugh really, really loud. I was the only one that truly laughed at it, though. Was the first like the first time that they actually like, I can't think of the term now. Like that the universes kind of started to collide, and it fucked up like the like the street light.
Oh yeah.
And then someone made an offhand comment. It's like, oh yeah, I think it's a Banksy. I lost it because no one would probably get that anymore. It's like, because I have a soft spot for graffiti art. It's like, I done it a lot in high school. I did a lot of research on it. I still appreciate it now. But Banksy did get caught because it's like he vandalized. It's like he had to go to jail for it. So it's like there hasn't been a Banksy work for a while. So hearing that comment, it made me happy and laugh a lot. Because it's like, this is a kid's movie. No one's really going to get that. Yeah. And I doubt like people, there's not a lot of people that know about Banksy because he's a British artist.
Well, okay, so it's fun that you said that, because I feel like there's a lot of jokes that like were all over the place that I wasn't sure that people were going to appreciate or not.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's this weird thing where, like, if you're a kid coming into this and you see the Sam Raimi dance scene, like...
Exactly, it's just like...
One, as the parent, why did you make them watch Spider-Man 3, man? Why did you make that happen? But you know...
Don't drag your kids through that.
There's a lot, or the popsicle bit, or like any of those things. Those are things that like I picked up on, but like there's obvious references to like Spider-Man throughout the years, and it's cool because Lego Batman did something very similar. You know, when you have these tongue-in-cheek kind of versions of the movie, like it's fun, it's different, it's, you know, it's great. For also, Nebraska's asking a question. What is your favorite scene from the movie, Nate?
Favorite scene? So that's the thing. There's like the actual scene itself, and then it's like from a visual standpoint. Because I feel like that's how sometimes you do have to view this movie. It's just like, if you take away the visuals, how does the scene actually look? Because again, I'm a sucker for graffiti art. So like having that moment between like Miles and his uncle, like when and like the visual standpoint, and I was really attached to that scene because it's like, this is his uncle helping Miles like be himself, and again, sucker for graffiti art, and it's a main motif in this, and I love it. But yeah, no, it was a cool bonding moment. Like the visuals of that scene was just awesome. Like how the spider was kind of just like in the background of it all was just kind of, I don't know. That's the thing. This movie is just very pretty. It's just like, it's so nice to look at. If you can handle looking at this.
Oh, no. I'm never going to hear the end of it now. I'm fucking...
You got old man eyes, Mitch.
There was this one scene where the colors were a little saturated, and I'm like, well, fuck me, I guess.
I'm getting old.
Okay, speaking about the uncle, did you see the twist with him coming?
Yeah.
Okay.
From a mile away.
Okay. The minute I'm not gonna lie, it was embarrassing how long it took for me to like, oh,
really?
Like, well, because I don't know, it was something about it where like I saw the uncle and I knew he was gonna be a bad guy. I just didn't think he was gonna be Prowler. Like I thought that there was gonna be some other aspect to it. I didn't think he was going to be a super villain.
Yeah, like you thought, like maybe like a vigilante kind of situation. It's like because he's still like a decent guy by the seams of it. I don't know. We don't necessarily get to see the uncle too much, obviously. But like the second that he wasn't answering phone calls, it's like I'm out of town this week. It's like yeah, bullshit. You're Prowler, you fuck.
Yeah, like I said, I just wasn't expecting him to be Prowler. But okay, but the thing that I wanted to just talk about real quick, I know this is such a minute detail, but I really, really appreciate it, and I thought you would too. It's the scene where Miles is at school and he's like having, he's struggling and he wants to go to something familiar, so he goes to see his Uncle Aaron. And the song they play is Notorious B.I.G.'s Hypnotize. Now, I don't know too much about modern music, which is really unfortunate. I should probably get more into it. But I don't know a lot about modern music. But I do know that something that Amanda and I have talked about and kind of emphasized was the fact that like a lot of rappers nowadays tend to be pretty not clean, but they're not as like problematic.
They're not as grotesque and kind of like sounding of how they used to be.
Exactly.
Grotesque is probably not the correct word, but
I would say they're not as hard.
Yeah, not as harsh, even.
No, fuck you. Fuck that. Fuck you with trying to demonize fucking...
I'm not trying to!
They're so harsh and grotesque. I'm just fucking with you.
I just like saying big words to sound smart.
Well, they're coming off really mean. No, but something that I really appreciated was you had the contrast musically between Miles and his Uncle Aaron. So, like, Miles was listening to, I think, Post Malone. That's the name of the artist. And, you can hear it, and it's very light, and it's very, it sounds very, very relaxing. When you get to Aaron, they're playing Notorious B.I.G. They're playing Hypnotized, his biggest fucking song. Like, that is, like... He was considered, kind of this problematic kind of artist, like even his death is like, a bit. So like I thought that was really interesting to contrast the two, where you had that harder sound, you had that because up until that point you've been listening to very light kind of rap music, and this was like you had the hard beats of that song.
Yeah, like I feel like also it's like it got turned up louder as well, so it was a main focal point.
Oh yeah,
because what was happening, like for the most part when that music was playing, it's like because it was just Miles like going to his uncle's place at that point, so it's like it's not like there's no dialogue, you don't really need the traffic sounds, so it's like just jack up that music.
Well, that's the thing. So like. It's that thing where it's not just jacking up the music, it's also emphasizing like now that I'm out of the theater, I'm like, okay, so they played that song, it was one to emphasize that there was more of a like if a difference. This is the theory, right? The theory goes that they play that song because one, when you rewatch that and that he's Prowler, like musically speaking,
you can tell, like
they
try to do that with a lot of things, like a lot of movies that tend to have like their own like soundtrack and music and kind of basis for it. They have the tendency to like because from a child perspective, like yeah, you can see what's happening on the screen, but you can tell better from what music is playing. My best example of this, like straight off the top of my head, is like within Mulan. It's like whenever there's like it's all like pretty relatively lighthearted music and upbeat. When there's anything visually bad happening, it's a lot darker tone. It's helping portray for the child, but it is a difficult thing to try and do that with actual music is the thing. it's like there's a difference like with just instrumental music, but with actual songs itself, it's hard to, especially for like the style of music that we're going for in this. I really enjoyed it. Like, it's not music that I typically listen to, but it did get the point across of like that kind of like, hey, this is kind of like more of a. I'm terrible with words today right now. I I just like I talk and talk and talk, and then my brain just like stops for a second. It's like, what are you saying? You're just saying words.
Okay, I'm gonna just interrupt you real quick.
Go for it.
I was just trying to emphasize the idea that, like, musically speaking, it was very interesting because I'm not sure they meant to do that or not, but they did have a more controversial figure to. Controversial is a weird word, but like they had like a more like quote unquote a harder character or a harder artist to portray the uncle than they did with Miles, and I thought that was very interesting. Like, I don't, once again, not sure if they intended to do that. It was just really cool to see that. Like, it was just, you know, it was musically speaking, it was very interesting. That's all I was trying to get across. Like, I'm not trying to say like, oh, kids are stupid. I'm just saying, like, you know.
No. No, I wasn't saying that either.
It sounded like it. It sounded like you were saying kids are stupid.
I'm
giving you
just saying,
shit. I'm giving you shit. It's fine.
Yeah, it's just like, it just helps them grasp the situation. Because I remember when I was a stupid ass kid. Like, I wouldn't have like a lot of kids movies, especially like Disney, like did that. It's like that's how they kind of got. Because again, like, yeah, you have the visuals and you have like the storyline, but you don't fully like comprehend it as a child. Granted, kids are a lot smarter these days. I'm not gonna lie. It's terrifying how like self-aware and like smart kids are these days, and they don't give themselves enough credit for it.
They'll always be smarter than us, man.
It's terrifying. It's so terrifying. I hate it. I just like, I could probably talk about this movie for quite a while. I really, really enjoyed it. So,
I didn't even say what my favorite scene was. I just realized that I said that I appreciated this one scene. My favorite scene in the movie, I would say it's the scene where. God, I can't. Fuck. The Olivia Octavia scene. That is my favorite scene in the movie because that was such a turn, and I really liked it. I was
not expecting that at all. It did make me very, like, I love like when villains like act kind of like the nice guy, and then there's like that one little offhanded comment that's just like, wait a second, and then he's like, and then it immediately like clicks. It's like, fuck.
I really like the fact that Miles, like, you know, when fucking when Peter's when the original Spider-Man is like fighting Green Goblin, like, you're like, that's fucking, he's a giant fucking dragon man, like, what the fuck is that all about? Like, I like the fact that their universe has these wildly radical different versions of like the villains that we know. So that being said, we're going to start closing up this episode of Mitch's Minute. I feel like we've kind of said everything we wanted to say.
I will bring up one thing.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. How'd you feel about Aunt May, by the way? Because when that scene initially started, I'm like, oh no.
Okay, this is the thing. I didn't tear up. I tear up at movies a lot because I'm a giant fucking emotional baby.
Hey, same.
But the thing that I will say is that with this movie, there was no Miles scene that made me emotional. The thing that got me emotional was like watching the context of that scene is fucking sad. It's, you know, you have Peter B. Parker who's buried his Aunt May, and you have Aunt May who just buried Peter. Like, and the line he says is, "I'm not ready for this." Like, holy shit. Like, it's such a, I don't know. It was such a weirdly, like, real way to do it, you know?
Like, the thing is, you can tell that they kind of try to play off that scene as, like, a little bit funny because they understood how, like, heartbreaking that scene is. Because he's like, I'm not ready for this. No, I'm not ready for that. Like, acted like a child about it kind of thing.
I wouldn't say a child.
No. Like I said, I'm just fabulous with words. like not a child, but it's like a bit more immature though. It's like, but it's
Nate,
like
okay,
I'm terrible with words. I'm trying to word things and I can't.
When you can't do things with words, you just heavily insult things.
It's more at myself. Don't worry.
No, okay, so like, I guess the context would be if your father died and it's been a couple years and you're in another universe, like, you're not gonna immediately kind of like be like, oh, that's, you know, a different, like, depending on your emotional attachment to that person, like, it's gonna be something. If my fiance died and then I went to an alternate universe and I saw her again, I'd be fucking devastated. Anyone would be. It's such a unique, weird situation. Like, I'm not trying to.
No,
I know.
I feel like I'm trying to. I think I try to say it's like, I feel like they try to play off that scene a like tiny bit, cause like in all honesty, like, yeah, that scene was sad, but it took me a second to click why it was so sad.
What do you? How?
And I'm like,
how does it take you a second?
Cause like a lot of stuff happens and I'm very forgetful and I'm like, right, he like just buried me like not that long ago. Shit. Cause I initially started laughing at that scene, but I'm a horrible person and I'm like, oh right, she died like recently, like not that long ago in his universe. I am so sorry.
Fucking. Heartless Nate, oh my god. Alright, with that, we're gonna start wrapping it up. So if you guys like this video, we do Mitch's Minutes every now and then. We're gonna try to get back into them. If you like this video, give it a like.
We need to openly talk about shit sometimes.
Yeah, and that way it doesn't drag into whatever shows we do throughout the week. That's the whole point of doing these podcast shows, and we've been doing podcast shows for years now on the Velvet Room. If you like this video, give it a like, comment, and subscribe. If you leave a comment down below after this video is done streaming, ask a question. Feel free to ask anything you want, and we will try to address it in the next episode of Mitch's Minute, which should be next Sunday. So like I said, if you guys were a fan, if you guys were a fan of Steven Universe and you want to keep seeing that being played, we will find a day for it. It's just a matter of getting there. So
and scheduling. It's not easy.
Yeah, it's not. It's really, really not. But soon we'll have another stream show starting up called Couch Co-op with me and my wife, quote unquote. Only quote unquote because
quote unquote my wife. Why can't you just say fiance?
I don't know. It's easier to say wife than fiance.
But she is your fiance.
She's my fiance. Whatever. Anyways, guys, we'll catch you guys.
I'm right.
Yeah. Oh, I do have a question for you guys. As is the Mitch's Minute tradition, I wish I had the music to play right now. I should have set that up. My question this week is, which iteration of Spider-Man is your favorite iteration of Spider-Man? Leave a comment down below. We'll read it next week right before we head out of the show. And we'll catch you guys next time on the Velvet Room. And it's dead air here is to make it so that, you know, because sometimes it takes a second, right, Nate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
All right, bye.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye. Please end the stream now, YouTube. And